When you look at the numbers, these are stunning. $120 million worth of stock in two or three separate grants. The stock, when he joined, $12.40 per share. It is now $13 a share. That is up 5%, but if you discount for inflation, it's basically flat. Why does he deserve this kind of money?
Well, that's a good question, Tyler. And if you look actually at his performance in 2020 of the stock, it started the year at about 12, it ended the year at about 10.80. Of course, it was a rough year for GE financially, and for GE stock, it got around, under $6 in May. And then in August, the board decided, the independent directors of the board, and likely with Larry's input, decided to recut his original deal from when he joined the company in October of 2018, recutting this share package that incentive share package that he had got, recut that base price to $6.67 a share, down from the $12.40 that you mentioned. And obviously, since then, the stock has moved to 13, which has gotten him two tranches of these additional shares of stock, 9.3 million shares worth $120 million.
So let's say, Bill, the GE board had done nothing with Mr. Culp's contract and the incentive payments and left them right where they were, as opposed to moving the goalposts and resetting them or repricing them at that lower price at the depth of the market crack last year. What kind of money would he have made then, if any?
Well, can you say goose egg on that incentive program? And I remember when that first was announced, Dave Faber and others and Jim Cramer were amazed, frankly, at the October 2018 deal that he cut. That was really the first time a GE CEO had a contract, an employment contract, and they were very impressed with the incentive nature of that contract. But had they not recut this deal last August, Larry Culp would be out of the money on the incentive portion of his compensation. And so he obviously, and the board, felt that he needed to have new incentive, Tyler. So they cut this to 667. And now, lo and behold, 9 months later, he's achieved two of those three tranches that are available to him.
I hold no grudge against General Electric. As you know, they own CNBC and NBC Universal for many years. I had stock options that were given to me. They weren't part of a contract. They were given to me, and I assume to many of my colleagues. They then went underwater, and no one repriced them for me. I had basically worthless stock options. Just saying. Let's talk about, apart from stock performance here, which is obviously sort of the ultimate measure of a CEO's wealth generation on behalf of shareholders, is Mr. Culp arguably doing such a good job at turning around General Electric, at making it cash flow positive, of correcting a bad hand that he received from not just his predecessor, but maybe two predecessors before that? Is he doing such a good job that you can make a case that he deserves this money?
It's hard, in my opinion. If you look at just the raw numbers, obviously 2020 was a very tough year for a lot of companies, but including GE. I mean, they are the world's largest manufacturer of aircraft engines. There probably weren't a whole lot of aircraft engines being sold in 2020. They are one of the world's largest manufacturers of electricity and power plants, natural gas and coal-fired power plants. I don't think there were a whole lot of those going under contract in 2020. He did sell, a part of the medical business to his old company, Danaher, for around $21 billion, and used that to pay down debt. And that deal closed in 2020. So he's probably making some progress in paying down debt. But, Tyler, the stock price is, barely budged. He was going to be out of the money on his original deal. And to make this cut, I mean, obviously he's in a very strong position leverage-wise with his board. They certainly don't want to lose another CEO. That would be their third in 3 years, so they don't want to do that. So he's in a strong position, and he used it.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.